Hello and welcome to ITV News Meridian.
Tonight's headlines in the south.
Save our school! No to quarry!
School pupils lead protests against plans to build a quarry in the village of Hamble as developers make another attempt to get their plans approved.
Paying for the luxury, big changes to how electric cars are taxed from today, what it means if you drive one.
And final stop, Bitterne, the magic of the railways, the community play celebrating 200 years of connections and train travel.
Good evening. Hundreds of residents and school children have staged a protest in Winchester at the opening of an inquiry into plans to build a quarry in the village of Hamble. The hearing follows an appeal into the scheme after it was rejected by Hampshire County Council.
Well, villagers say it will destroy the environment and devastate the area. The developer says it's confident the site can be operated without any significant adverse effects. Mike Pearce was at the hearing and sent this.
A very large and noisy protest in Winchester this morning against plans for a new quarry at Hamble. It had been rejected by Hampshire County Council after more than 5,000 objections, but the developer appealed, causing a fresh public inquiry. Locals say it would be devastating.
People are angry because they don't want a quarry in the middle of the village.
What would it do to the village?
Well, it's 60 hectares of land that is surrounded by residents, schools, medical centre, sports grounds, yacht clubs, marine industry, and it will just, it's not good for the environment, it's not good for the highways with the 120 trucks a day that they're talking about bringing onto the roads.
The plan is to extract 250,000 tonnes of sand and gravel a year for 7 years from a former airfield. Hampshire County Council rejected the plan, saying lorry traffic would have an unacceptable impact on local roads, with concerns over air pollution. Among those taking part in the protest today are local GP and scores of schoolchildren.
I look after 18,000 patients. We've got a lot of people with respiratory conditions, chronic airways disease, mental health issues. And the gravel pit will increase the particulate matter in the airways, increasing the risk of asthma. It's very alarming, very worrying for us all in the village.
Always opposed it because it will impact the education of the children and the local communities which use the area.
And what's your view?
It's not a very good idea to put the quarry here because it will affect not just the children but the whole community.
And what's the strength of feeling amongst the school students and the wider community locally, do you think?
I think we all collectively agree that it's not the right place to put a quarry.
Well, the inquiry is sitting for 4 days this week, where scores of local people will make their views heard. It will again sit in June before a final decision expected later in the year. We need to get gravel from somewhere. The government say we need to be building. We need gravel.
We do, but this is the wrong location. There are plenty of other sites in Hampshire. Even their own waste and mineral plan in Hampshire County Council says they've got enough gravel to go for the next 7 years. What I'm saying is that it's the wrong location. That's why we've had 5,000 objections, and that's why this shouldn't go ahead.
Developer Cemex says it continues to work with the County Council and is committed to securing the raw materials that are vital for the country's growth, while ensuring the health and safety of those who work for them and in the local communities remains the number one priority. Mike Pearce, ITV News, Winchester.
Murder investigation is underway in Brighton. It's after a 57-year-old man was found dead on Hartfield Avenue at around 7:30 this morning. A woman and a boy have been taken to hospital with serious injuries. A 19-year-old man has been arrested on suspicion of murder.
The cost of energy, water and council tax are all going up this month in what is being dubbed Awful April. A number of events have been held across the south, urging the government and companies to provide extra help for those who are struggling.
Ministers say they understand it's a worrying time for families, but they remain determined to get bills down in the long term. Tom Savides has our report.
Paul Kemp fears he will find it difficult to keep up with rising bills. He's a full-time unpaid carer for his wife Sandy, who has Alzheimer's. The costs of looking after her have been mounting over the past few years. They're now about to get even more expensive.
As Sandy's getting more to the latter stages of Alzheimer's. Obviously her needs are more. The added pressures are the everyday, day-to-day needs, which you have to do. Washing, drying, all that sort of thing. You know, I need to keep her warm because obviously we're in the house a lot. So it is a big squeeze.
This month, on average, water bills are expected to rise by £123 per year, energy bills by £111, with council tax going up by £109 per year. £5 is also being added to the television licence. With so many bills rising, the finances of almost everyone in the country are likely to be hit, with some people struggling to make ends meet. In Brighton, Portsmouth and Southampton, union members have been out on the streets handing out tips and advice to those anxious about rising costs.
Today we have seen the rise in your council tax, the rise in this utility bill, electricity, if you drive, your car tax, etc. So today they're now saying to us, it's been bad for a few years, but now it's got to the crunch point where we will never be able to pay it, and they will then be in debt. They are terrified of being in debt.
The government admits it's a worrying time for families, but is determined to get bills down in the long term. But for many people, it's the short-term pain they're struggling with. Tom Savides, ITV News.
Now, political correspondent Kit Bradshaw joins us from Westminster. Kit, we've just heard a very personal story there of the impact rising energy costs are having on people everywhere. So what is the government saying?
Well, many here at Westminster are already calling it awful April, Sangeeta. And the government acknowledges that for many the cost of living crisis is still a reality, but the business secretary says they're taking action to put more pounds in workers' pockets.
Today, 3 million workers are getting a substantial pay rise worth over £1,400 a year, with the minimum wage going up to £12.21. The decisions we made on freezing fuel duty or making sure that we're still committed to the triple lock for pensioners don't just protect everyone, they protect the most vulnerable. So we know things are hard, but for the first time we're starting to see real data that shows that wages are rising faster than inflation. That's ultimately what makes everyone better off.
On the opposition benches, the Liberal Democrats have urged Labour to reverse the cuts to the winter fuel payment. The Greens have called for a wealth tax on billionaires. Reform UK have blamed the increase to businesses' bills to do with national insurance contributions, and that's a sentiment echoed by the Conservatives' business spokesperson, who's also a Sussex MP.
Government has pushed up with things like the national insurance jobs tax, the cost for businesses and firms across the country of doing business. And understandably, they are seeking to pass some of that to protect jobs, seeking to pass some of that on to consumers. But the biggest thing the government could do is reverse its 25 billion jobs tax that impacts on businesses, the high street, nurseries, care homes and hospices.
So whether it's awful April or terrible Tuesday, I'm afraid there might be more bad news on the way tomorrow for businesses in the south which export internationally, because we're expecting details of President Trump's US import tariffs, proof that in a globalised economy, the shockwaves from decisions in the White House don't take long to reach Bournemouth, Brighton or Southampton.
Okay, thank you.
Hampshire's Alan Titchmarsh has been given a CBE by the King at Windsor Castle. The TV gardener, author and broadcaster, who has his own show on ITV, was given the award for services to horticulture and to charity, recognising his 60-year career. He was awarded an MBE 25 years ago.
Congratulations to Alan. You're watching ITV News Meridian in the south. Plenty more coming up, including we're talking about school walks.
And the first day of the month has certainly brought some sunshine. Will April continue to deliver some fine fare? I'll have your forecast.
And remember, you can find more from us by heading to our website. Just go to itv.com/Meridian. You can call us. The number's on your screen now, and you can follow us on social media.
Next tonight, concern that tax changes will deter drivers from switching to electric vehicles.
Yes, from today, a major change will see owners of any new EV with a sticker price of over £40,000 liable to pay what's known as a luxury car tax.
Well, campaigners have criticised the Chancellor's decision, saying it's yet another barrier to EV ownership, but the government says their approach ensures fiscal stability. With more, Chris Conway.
For renewables businessman Connor, an electric car makes motoring sense. However, the upfront costs imposed by government means his dream of ditching his diesel engine remains stalled.
I'm currently paying £20 a year for my road tax. That's going to rise to £21 a year road tax. The cheapest road tax I've found on a new EV is £195. And most electric cars now are well above £40,000, so then I'm being stung with the luxury car tax as well.
The tax changes mean owners of EVs registered from today with a retail price of over £40,000 are now liable to pay the government's expensive car supplement known as the luxury car tax, which costs an extra £425 a year. It kicks in for 5 years from the second year of ownership, meaning combined with vehicle excise duty, the total yearly tax cost stands at £620. With the average cost of an electric car around £46,000, the owners of more than 2/3 of EVs sold last year would qualify to pay it if buying the same car now.
Mr. Speaker, this Labour government was elected to bring change to our country.
It had been hoped the Chancellor would at least increase the expensive car supplement threshold for EVs at last week's spring statement, but that didn't happen, disappointing the Electric Vehicle Association.
Upfront cost of electric cars is one of the key barriers to switching to electric. So many people love them, but they still feel that they're unaffordable for them. And electric cars are more expensive, so adding another tax on top of them right at this moment in time would simply increase that risk.
There are also concerns that a slowdown in switching to EVs will speed up the impact on the planet from the emissions of petrol and diesel cars. Energy experts at the University of Sussex agree.
A lot of the air pollution that we see in cities, the majority, is related to emissions from petrol and diesel cars. And so you'd see an immediate decrease in things like smog or when you just have dirt on your skin and you have to go home and wash your face.
The government says their approach ensures fiscal stability and points out they've frozen vehicle excise duty first-year rates for EVs to encourage people to make the switch. Campaigners, though, are urging the Chancellor to look again at the tax implications of EV ownership. They're questioning why those who are going electric should pay extra tax on a vehicle that doesn't cost the earth. Chris Conway, ITV News.
Now the ITV Evening News continues with the national and international stories at 6:30. With the details, here's Mary Nightingale.
Coming up in the ITV Evening News, it's being dubbed Awful April. But just how awful will the hikes to some household bills be for you? The landmark car loan compensation case reaches the Supreme Court. And the King returns to work and honours his friend and gardener, Alan Titchmarsh. Will you join me for those stories and more at 6:30?
Alan again.
Alan again, we like Alan.
Now, public health campaigners warn around half of children in the south are missing out on important exercise and socialising because of the decline in pupils walking to school.
Well, numbers have dropped by a quarter in the last 50 years, while the proportion being driven to the school gates is at an all-time high.
But incentives are underway to encourage parents to re-embrace walking all or some of the school run with their children. With more, Nick Smith.
Walking to and from school used to be seen as part and parcel of most children's daily routine. But those using their feet from the front door to the school gates are now in a minority, as the car increasingly takes priority. Parents we spoke to outside Crescent Primary in Eastleigh say they mostly drive their kids due to convenience.
We drive because we live at a distance. We used to live a lot more local, but due to the distance we do take a car now.
Parents have to work nowadays. Obviously I work, my partner works.
If they have breakfast clubs because their children need to go into their working, then they probably go straight to work afterwards. So again, it's mainly convenience, I think.
I guess some parents have got to go on their way to work and then have to drop their kids off. It's part of their busy life. So I can imagine that's possibly one reason. But we're fortunate in the way we can sort of walk to both school and work.
Back in the mid-1970s, 3/4 of primary-age children walked to school. But now, 50 years later, it's around half. And that figure drops to just 1/4 in rural areas.
The big barriers that we hear about are time, so parents are now having to go off straight to work, both parents. Distance, catchment areas are perhaps becoming slightly larger. Needing to go to multiple schools, perhaps. There are numerous benefits of walking to school. We hear a lot that children and adults are quite inactive at the moment. We need to build physical activity back into our daily lives. It's a really easy way of doing that by walking local journeys that we have to do every day.
Active Travel England is now running a Walk to School challenge, with pupils collecting badges for every journey on foot, in the hope of reducing drop-offs at the gates.
What's your favourite thing about walking to school?
Getting nice fresh air and getting ready for the day.
And who do you walk to school with?
My dad. I can talk with my mum more because we have fun talking together because we like to have a laugh.
Nice to just get out in the morning, get that early morning fresh air, get the exercise in, get the day started off nice, and I'll get to spend a little time, one-on-one time with Bella and just get an interaction, just us two.
Everyone's busy, how quick you can get from A to B because everyone's got work and things like that, but taking the time out to walk makes the time a bit more special.
We've certainly noticed a difference in our children. They're alert, they're focused, they're ready to learn. They've enjoyed their walk to school, they've had some fresh air, they've had some exercise before they sit down ready for their day.
Distances, safety concerns and work commutes will always be factors, preventing some parents from ditching the car. But those who can walk all or part of their journeys are being encouraged to re-embrace it, for that extra bonding time, exercise and other benefits too. Nick Smith, ITV News.
Now, 2025 marks 200 years of train travel, and a drama project in Hampshire has been exploring the impacts of the railway on everyday life.
Bitterne station in Southampton was derelict for 3 decades until it reopened last year as a community hub.
Well, now it's been transformed into a stage show to celebrate the stories and memories of local people. Here's Rachel Hepworth.
200 years ago, the modern railway was born.
Dramatising the history of Bitterne and its people and exploring what their station means to them.
I never feel like I'm alone. There's always a sense of belonging and services to help you.
The stories have been gathered from local residents, providing a snapshot of modern life.
And what's been so heartening is that the majority of people really do feel that there is a strong sense of community in this area, that people on the whole do feel connected. The rail network has been completely transformative to people's lives, and it continues to be so.
The station opened back in 1866 when Bitterne was a village surrounded by fields. It's still a key commuter route, but perhaps with slightly less charm than in bygone times. Among those sharing their stories for the play, John Ellery, who still has a signal lamp given to him as a boy when he first fell in love with the station.
They were community hubs in their day when people would travel, they'd pass stories, talk about the football, talk about politics, and now it's a community hub is what they're doing here, and it's bringing people together again in various other forms.
And that's thanks to the Friends of Bitterne Station, who persuaded South Western Railway to reopen the building after it had lain empty for 30 years. Now, a year on, it's a thriving arts centre and community kitchen. The play, part of an open day to celebrate the transformation.
It's just so lovely to hear what the station means to the community, to hear how connected everybody feels.
They're like a vital artery for the community, and so that is really part of the passion and making sure that they are revitalised.
They hope their success can be replicated at other disused railway stations, connecting communities in every sense. Rachel Hepworth, ITV News in Bitterne.
Very good. But did you get distracted by the lemon drizzle halfway through?
I did.
Yes.
I wasn't going to tell everyone.
I did too, because it looked very nice. Let's talk about the weather. Holly joins us in the studio. A lovely start to April, but we're going to look back at March first of all.
That's right. Well, today has been sunny, it's been warm, it's been dry, and that very much sums up March as well. Statistics show, the figures that have come in, they're provisional, but they show that we've had the sunniest March on record across both England as a whole and also here in the south too. Let's take a look at some of those numbers, because we've had almost 200 hours of sunshine this month. That's 161% of the average, and it's 11 hours sunnier than the previous record, which was set back in 1933. And as I say, not just that, but it's also been ever so dry. So we've had about 7 millimetres of rain, which is hardly anything, 13% of the average. By day, with that sunshine, it's been 2 degrees warmer, but with the clear skies by night, we have seen a bit more than we typically would in the way of frost. So it's been about 0.5 degrees colder than average. But certainly I think by most people's measures, it has been a very pleasant March. So back to April the 1st, yes. And a notable day for you weather types. It is, that's right. Us weather types. Yeah, that's what I call you. It is the anniversary of the launch of the first weather satellite. So back in 1960, the Tyros 1 was launched, and this was the first image it sent back. As I say, 65 years ago today. This is Nova Scotia and Maine. I'm pretty sure you won't be able to make those out. Of course, it looks very different to the satellite images that we see today. It was only in operation for 78 days, so not especially long, but it did pave the way for all of the amazing weather satellite technology we have today. And what I find amazing about that is, now, of course, when you think of the Earth, you can picture it, you can picture the blue marble, but of course, it was just a few decades ago when we had no real concept of what the Earth looked like at all, so I think that's incredible. Today has been sunny. We have got more sunshine in store, a blip perhaps on Thursday, but here are your details.
A heavy downpour will subside and light relaxation will set in. TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
Well, no shortage of blue sky overhead for today, but we have had a bit of a breeze around that's been quite noticeable, especially into the coast. And that's because although we've got high pressure dominating things, keeping us settled, we have got quite a squeeze around that high, hence the wind. Into Thursday, we've also got a feature moving up from the south, and that could well bring some showery bits and pieces of rain, perhaps tomorrow night or into Thursday, mainly, I think, for the west of our region. And left tonight then, well, I think some sunshine, then starry skies, and that breeze continues. That does stop us getting as chilly as it might otherwise do. It keeps us largely mist-free as well, and we see values down to mid-ish single figures for most. So we head into tomorrow. It's a bright start from the word go, and like today you should see lots of sunshine, I think, throughout. But again, like today, you have got this wind around, especially for coastal areas, and of course that just makes it feel a bit chillier than the numbers might suggest, because many of us are looking at values getting comfortably into the teens there. Taking a look at our times of high water, we've got Portsmouth at 2:37 and again at 2:57 into the afternoon. Now, for Thursday, we could see more cloud, we could see some showery bits and pieces of rain, possibly for Wednesday night as well. There is some uncertainty about that. I don't think all of us will see showers, but they are a potential. After that, we see higher temperatures getting into the low 20s, a drop in those values for the weekend, but still plenty of sunshine.
TUI sponsors ITV Meridian weather.
It's a good outlook, isn't it? 4 suns and then a sun and a cloud.
Yeah. Did you see Friday? 21 on Friday. 21.
Lovely. Anyway, that is it from us.
Thanks for watching.
I'm back with your late update at 10:30.
Bye-bye.